Hello beautiful people, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lexi, and in today's video I am going to be talking about my opinion on popular booktube books. And if you are new to the community and for some reason haven't read these books yet, which ones you should pick up and which ones you should maybe hold off on, at least for a little bit until you kind of get acquainted with the scene. I want to stress, first of all, that these are obviously my personal opinions, and if you disagree, I would love to hear it actually. Please, let's have a conversation down in the comments. It's my favorite thing. I love interacting with you guys about this kind of thing. It's great. I also apologize if you can hear my cat in the background. She is playing with her toy and she's very excited about it. Nonetheless, chances are, if you're on BookTube, it's because you are interested in at least one of these books and you found a community of like-minded people. That's how I got into BookTube. And that is likely how you all got into BookTube too, is wanting to talk about books that you enjoy with similar-minded people. But if you are new to BookTube and you haven't read any of these books, these are going to be some of the books that you'll see talked about most often. I've only got a couple on the list to keep this video kind of short, but I would say these are the ones that I've seen pop up a lot, and most of these books I ended up reading because I was in BookTube. I do want to stress these are just my personal opinions, and with that, let us hop right into the video. Now, the first book that I want to discuss is going to be on my shelf behind me back here. It is the Six of Crows duology. Now, these books I have seen everywhere on BookTube, and they are also all over the media now because of the TV show that was on Netflix. I think it was pretty popular and I thought it was very well done. You will see these books come up a lot and I personally love them. The Six of Crows duology is probably one of my favorites. Sorry, the cat is just, she's so cute. It is probably one of my favorite sets of books. Both of the books are definitely in my top 5 favorite books. It is probably my favorite series overall, ever. Series, not necessarily individual book. And like I said, both of the books are up in my favorites as well because they're just so good. I love the character development. I love the world building. Six of Crows, I am going to try to explain this as unspoilery as possible, follows a group of gang teenagers who are trying to do a heist on a very high security government building in a different country, and it's great. That is the premise of the series, I think, is a good way to explain it without spoiling anything. There is romance involved, but it's not at all the focus of the story. It's, you know, teenagers who are in love with other teenagers, as teenagers do. It is not spicy at all in any capacity, and they're pretty fast-paced reads, I would say, but I enjoy that. I mean, they're not so fast you can't gather what's going on, but they don't linger on the tiniest details forever, so that's good. That's what I personally enjoy in books. And it is a great adventure read, and I think the TV show also definitely does the series justice. So if you do want to check that out after reading the series, you should do that. It's good. I highly recommend Six of Crows. I think Six of Crows was definitely one of my first BookTube books, and I love it so much. The next set of books that I have as a part of BookTube, although I'm not necessarily sure I would recommend this if you haven't read them and you're just getting into BookTube, is going to be the ACOTAR series. These bad boys are everywhere and they are incredible. I love them. They're probably some of the most controversial books on BookTube. And it is very hard to avoid spoilers for them on BookTube, but it started out definitely, I don't know if it maintained this throughout the whole series, but it started out as a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and it has to do with fae. It is pretty spicy. I would put it at like 3 out of 5 spice, and it is a very long read for the entire series. I loved them. I like Sarah J. Maas's writing. But again, the Throne of Glass and ACOTAR series, but I'll get to Throne of Glass in a minute, are very, very controversial. Just be careful to avoid spoilers because they are everywhere. But I like them. A lot of people don't, a lot of people do. It's very subjective. I would say second to most controversial thing on BookTube is the pronunciation of this name. I say Rysand, but a lot of people say Rysand, although I think most people agree with me that it should be Rysand, even if that's not what they say. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Now, as I promised, the other Sarah J. Maas series that is super popular is Throne of Glass. This one, I think, is a much more tame read, not in terms of spice. I think it's not quite as spicy, but I think this one, even though it's definitely much longer, as you can see, there's like a bunch of these bad boys and like 4 of these bad boys, although Silver Flames is kind of hefty. But I just felt, I don't know, I felt like Throne of Glass was much more composed and less chaotic. And I think a lot of people still either love it or hate it. But in my opinion, Throne of Glass is the less divisive of the two because I feel like there's more middle ground. You get what I mean, middle of the road. Whereas I feel like ACOTAR is very one side or the other. You like it or you don't. I know she has a 3rd series that she's working on now, the Crescent City, whatever that series is called, but I haven't read any of the books, so I'm not going to talk about them yet because I haven't read them, so I'm not qualified to do so. Some more books that you will see on BookTube pop up a lot, and I mean a lot, are the Raven Cycle series, which is going to be back here. I read this series and I loved it. My dear friend Cassandra couldn't get past the 2nd book because she hated Ronan. And I can see that because Ronan is a very polarizing character, and the way that Maggie Stiefvater writes is very polarizing. I think it's one of those things you would either love it or you would hate it. I love how the books are written. I love the sense of humor that is ingrained within them. I love how the characters interact. I do think the 2nd book was kind of slow to get through. I think the last 2 books in the series are much better than the first 2. So if you struggle with the first 2, but you enjoy them enough to keep going, I promise it is worth it. I love that series a lot. It follows, again, a group of teenagers. One of them is trying to find Glendower, who is an old Welsh king, and the legend has if you find him, you get a wish. The other one is like from a family of psychics, and she has a curse that she's trying to figure out while this is all ongoing. And there's a bunch of lore, and it is a super fun series. I really enjoyed it. I have read Call Down the Hawk. I have not read the other books in that trilogy yet. I will eventually. I didn't love them as much as I did or love the original Raven Cycle series though, so do keep that in mind. But I think it's good. I would give them a read. I maybe wouldn't start with them if you're still getting into BookTube books, but I would pick them up when you have a moment. I love them. I think they're fun. It's definitely, if you finish ACOTAR and you want something to come down from, I would pick the Raven Cycle series. That's how I can explain it. I have a guest. Obviously, if these aren't your cup of tea and they don't sound like something you would enjoy picking up, there's so many different facets of BookTube. You'll do just fine. Everybody is so welcoming here and so embracing of different book tastes and different opinions, and that is why we love it. But these are definitely the ones that you will see pop up a lot. Like a lot. And if you do want to not get spoiled for some of them, maybe consider picking them up. I enjoyed them. I think they're very good. They're all popular for a reason, but it's also fun to have discourse on them. So if you do have a differing opinion, feel free to share. And that will wrap up today's video. So I do thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please be sure to subscribe because I post content like this twice a week. I am trying to hit 100 and we are so close. So let's pop down to that button and hit it if you haven't already. And if you have, I appreciate you guys so much. You should like the video because it's easy, comment because it makes me smile, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!